Verbs in the passive voice allow the action to happen to the subject instead of having the subject do the verb. So in the sentence, the boy will be taught by the teacher, the subject, the boy, is receiving the teaching. Often, but not always, our sentence will have an agent, here, by the teacher. The passive voice for present system tenses, that is, the present, imperfect, and future, are very similar in their formation. This video will cover the passive voice for the future tense. To conjugate a verb into the future passive, you can use one of two methods. Just like the present and imperfect, you can easily figure out the future passive from the future active. You may remember that there are two ways, though, to form the future tense, one way for first and second conjugation verbs, and another way for third and fourth conjugation verbs. Let's start with the first kind. So here is a future active form for dokeo, a second conjugation verb. Dokeibit, he will teach. It's the present stem, doke, this is the meaning of the word teach, plus the future tense signifier, the infix bo bi 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 boo, will. And then the active personal endings. The T ending means that the subject is a he, she, or it. English likes to rearrange the order of these to he will teach. To make dokeibit passive, we just need to substitute the passive personal ending tur in place of the active one, t. So we get dokeibitur, he will be taught. So say we have a third conjugation verb, though, like duko. The future is dukent. They will lead. Remember, for third and fourth conjugation verbs, we don't use bo, bi, 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 boo, but instead an a for the first person singular and an e for all other forms. So still, forming the passive is easy. We swap out the unt for untur, and we get the passive dukentur. They will be led. Notice how in English, we also just swap out will lead with will be led. The helping verb be, along with the passive participle of to lead, shows the passive nature of the verb. So instead of they doing the action, the be forces the action onto the subject. So that's the easy way. Swap out the active ending for the passive ending. But that assumes that you know what the future active is. So what if you don't, or what if you've forgotten? To form the future active and passive, you take the present stem, and this is the second principal part without the re. But let's hold off for third conjugation verbs. The stem ends in a short e, so here it's duke, but that short e is going to be absorbed into the future vowel. So often with thirds, it's kind of best to think of the stem without the e. For third io conjugation verbs like kapeo, kapera, the I stays in the stem. So then you add the bo, bi, 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 boo to the first and second conjugation stems, and to the third and fourth conjugation stems, you add the a for first person singular and an e for all other forms. And then add your personal endings. So for active verbs, it's a est, mus, tis, unt. And for passive verbs, it's ris, tur, mur, mini, untur. Oh, and one more note. When you add the ris ending to b, the short I is transposed into an e. This no doubt has to do with the presence of the r. So to say you will be taught, it should be dokeiberis, which with a Romance pronunciation easily becomes dokeiberis. So let's conjugate each of these verbs. For the first conjugation verb amo, our present stem is ama, and then we add the bo, bi, 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 boo, and then the ris, tur, mur, mini, untur. And there we have it. Amabor, amaberis, amabitur, amabimor, amabimini, amabuntur. And our translations: I will be loved, you will be loved, he, she, it will be loved, we will be loved, you all will be loved, and they will be loved. The second conjugation verb dokeo goes likewise. We have doke, and then the infix, and then the endings. Third and fourth conjugation verbs go differently from the first and second, as I talked about before. So the third duko goes like this. Duk, the a followed by 5 e's, and then the endings. Our third io verb kapeo is similar, but with the presence of an I before our a and e infix. And our fourth conjugation verb audeo goes just like the third io. So in my experience, recognizing the first and second conjugation future, active or passive, is easy because of the infix. It's the third and fourth that can be a bit more difficult. I mean, what's the difference between the present dokeitur, dokeo is a second conjugation verb, and the future dukeitur, duko is a third conjugation verb? Yeah, you have to know your verbs and their conjugations, sure, but you can also let context help you out. If the future tense is expected, then you can think it through and maybe figure it out without having to double check a dictionary.